Two Australians. One earns $100,000 a year. One earns $65,000. Most people looking at those two numbers assume the answer to who is better off financially is completely obvious. It is not. 20 years later. The $100,000 earner has an investment portfolio worth approximately $113,000. The $65,000 earner has an investment portfolio worth approximately $339,000. Same city. Same generation. The income gap between them never closed. But the wealth gap, the one that actually matters, went entirely the other way. This video is about why that happens, and about why $100,000, a number most Australians still associate with genuine comfort, no longer delivers the feeling most people expect when they first cross it. We're going to cover the inflation story, the housing story, the lifestyle inflation story, the comparison story, and then the more hopeful story underneath all of it. In the year 2000, the median full-time earnings in Australia were approximately $39,000. Earning $100,000 was 2.5 times the median. It was genuinely unusual. It meant something specific. Real comfort, real security, probably a degree of status. The number had gravity. Today the ATO tells us approximately 3.3 million Australians, about 20% of all taxpayers, earn over $100,000. It is no longer rare. The median full-time earnings are now approximately $92,000. Earning six figures no longer places someone at the top of any table. It places them slightly above the middle. And inflation has done the rest of the work quietly. What $100,000 bought in 2000 would cost approximately $160,000 to buy today. In real purchasing power terms, a $100,000 salary in 2024 is significantly less valuable than the same number in 2000. The number stayed fixed. The purchasing power did not. More Australians than ever earn six figures, which means the feeling of arrival that used to come with crossing that line has quietly evaporated. You cannot feel wealthy relative to a median if you are close to the median. Most people who cross $100,000 for the first time expect something to shift. They expect life to feel noticeably different, and then, within 6 to 12 months, it does not. It feels normal, which is exactly what it has become. The housing story is where the $100,000 feeling really falls apart. In 2000, the median house price in Sydney was approximately $280,000. In 2024, it is approximately $1.15 million. In Melbourne, the change has been from approximately $170,000 to approximately $800,000. In 25 years, Australian capital city property prices have quadrupled. Incomes have approximately doubled. After tax, $100,000 becomes approximately $72,000 a year, approximately $6,000 a month. A mortgage on a median Sydney home at current interest rates runs approximately $6,900 a month. The $100,000 earner in Sydney cannot comfortably service the median Sydney home on their income alone. The number that used to feel like a rival now falls short of the median. So the $100,000 earner in a major Australian city is typically doing one of two things. They are spending a very large proportion of their take-home on housing, whether renting or servicing a mortgage, and finding very little gap left over. Or they bought early enough that their housing situation looks very different. For anyone who did not buy before 2015 and is looking now, $100,000 is not the comfortable platform it once was. And renting is not the relief valve it once was either. Median weekly rents in Sydney and Melbourne have risen dramatically. A two-bedroom apartment in inner Sydney can run $700 to $900 per week. That is $36,000 to $47,000 per year, 50 to 65% of a $72,000 take-home. Gone, before any other expense is paid. The point is not that $100,000 earners are suffering in the absolute sense. Many are not. The point is that the feeling they expected, the one that used to come with that number, is simply not there, because the world that number lived in no longer exists. Drop your honest take in the comments. Does $100,000 feel like what you expected, or different to what you imagined? I want to see the real answers from people at every income level. But housing is only part of the story. The other part is lifestyle inflation, the quiet, invisible process by which spending rises to meet income almost automatically. The $65,000 earner who gets to $100,000 does not think, I will save the extra $35,000. They think, I can finally afford a better car, a nicer place, the membership, the holiday I've been putting off. Every one of those things is individually reasonable, but together they consume the entire gap between $65,000 and $100,000 with remarkable efficiency. The grocery shop changes, the gym changes, the weekend changes, the social occasions change, and within 6 to 12 months, the $100,000 earner has a lifestyle that cost $100,000, and the net worth position of someone earning $65,000 who has not changed anything. And then, of course, the appliances, the dishwasher, the hot water system, the car tires. These things do not care what salary just landed. They simply wait until the first pay at the new rate and then fail simultaneously and without apology. This is the hedonic treadmill, a concept from psychology that describes the human tendency to return to a baseline level of well-being after positive changes. Income rises, life adjusts to match it, the new normal settles in, the feeling fades, and the cycle begins again at the next number, which also disappoints eventually. The income keeps rising. The feeling of richness keeps retreating. Not because the person is doing anything wrong, but because the feeling of richness was never stored in the income. It was stored in something else entirely. When income rises, the reference group changes. The $65,000 earner compares themselves to colleagues at a similar level. The $100,000 earner is now around people who also earn six figures, and some of them earn considerably more. The benchmark for normal shifts upward, and $100,000 starts to feel like the bottom of a new table rather than the top of the old one. Social media amplifies this continuously. The renovation posts, the holiday updates, the car upgrades, the restaurant openings. The comparison engine runs in the background regardless of income level, and it always pulls spending upward. The $100,000 earner is not immune to this. Nobody is. The $65,000 earner who does not upgrade their lifestyle, who keeps the same car, the same apartment, the same grocery habits, and invests the gap instead, is doing something structurally different. They are building something durable with a smaller input, because the amount invested matters less than the consistency of the habit. Stay with me. Because the actual numbers comparison between the $100,000 and $65,000 earner over 20 years is the most surprising part of this video. It is coming right now, and I have put a link in the description so you can run your own numbers. The $100,000 earner who has lifestyle inflated, mortgage or rent, car repayment, memberships, dining, travel, might be investing $200 to $300 a month. The $65,000 earner who has kept the lifestyle flat might be investing $500 to $700 a month. Same city, very different financial trajectories. And here is the distinction that changes everything. Income is not wealth. Income is what lands in your account each month. Wealth is what stays there and what grows. Most people focus entirely on income. The wealth builders focus on the gap between income and spending. These are very different things to optimize for. I will show you what the numbers actually look like. And I have put the free compound calculator in the description so you can plug in your own situation. Plug $200 a month into the calculator at 7% for 20 years, approximately $113,000. Now plug in $600 a month at the same return for the same period, approximately $339,000. The $65,000 earner investing more of a smaller income ends up with 3 times the investment portfolio of the $100,000 earner who invests less of a larger one. Same market, same return, very different gap. A TO and ABS data consistently shows that many high-income earners accumulate relatively modest net worth relative to their earnings over working lives, not because they are making complex mistakes. Because income spent leaves no trace. Income invested compounds, quietly, reliably over decades. Meanwhile, the dishwasher is still not fixed. It never is. The wealth builder, at any income level, now has one habit that does not change with the pay rise. They pay themselves first, before the mortgage, before the subscriptions, before the dining out. A portion of every pay goes to investment automatically, not from the leftovers, as the first payment. The lifestyle is funded by what remains. Financial freedom is not a feeling, it is a number. Specifically, it is the point at which investment income exceeds living expenses. For most Australians, depending on lifestyle, that is somewhere between $1 million and $3 million in invested assets. And here's the important thing, that number is available to both the $100,000 earner and the $65,000 earner. Not equally, but both. The formula is simple. Income minus spending equals gap. Gap invested over time equals wealth. Wealth large enough to generate passive income equals freedom. Freedom is not the $100,000 salary. It is what you did with the gap it could have created. The $65,000 earner who invests $600 a month consistently for 30 years at a conservative 7% ends up with approximately $730,000. Combined with superannuation and home equity if they own property, the total picture is genuinely meaningful, not from a large income, from a consistent gap, maintained quietly for a long time. And the interesting thing about the $100,000 earner is that they have more capacity for the gap than almost anyone. More income means more potential gap if they choose to use it. The challenge is that higher income creates a higher cost comparison group, which shrinks the gap through social pressure alone. The income is there. The gap is what gets squeezed. The feeling of richness was always a comparative feeling. It always depended on who was standing next to you. That is why it keeps moving regardless of how much the income grows. Income will never produce the feeling permanently. Only assets do that. Assets do not care about the reference group, they just compound. And the hopeful part is that this is available right now at any income level and to anyone who understands the distinction. The $65,000 earner who starts investing next month has something the $100,000 earner who does not invest does not have: a compounding engine that is running. 3 things. Income is not wealth. The gap between income and spending is the only number that actually builds something durable. And the feeling of being rich, the genuine lasting feeling, does not come from the payslip. It comes from the balance sheet. If you want to go deeper on the compounding side, the $500 a month video and the How Australians Become Millionaires video cover this in detail, both linked in the description. And the free compound calculator is there too. Put in your own numbers and see what your gap actually builds over time. Drop your honest answer in the comments. Does this match what you have felt crossing a salary milestone? I want to see the real responses. $100,000 is a number, not a feeling, not a destination, not a guarantee of anything in particular. Wealth is not what lands in your account each month, it is what stays there, and what grows quietly in the background while you get on with your life. The Australians who feel genuinely free, not temporarily impressed, but durably free, are rarely the ones with the highest salaries. They are the ones who understood, early or late or somewhere in between, that the goal was never the number on the payslip. It was the life it could quietly build, if they chose to let it. Subscribe to Aussie Money Explained for a new video every week. See you in the next one.